And this is Burrow, it's the Kirk and Burrow Show. And today we have with us Larry Rubama of the Virginia Pilot. Welcome to the show, Larry.
Welcome, welcome. Good to have you. I'm glad to be here, guys. Oh, don't forget Daily Press, Virginia Pilot, and Daily Press.
And Daily Press.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. That's right. I grew up Daily Press on this
yeah.
side, Virginia Pilot over there. Yeah.
Now
Daily
we're
Press
one big
and,
family. One big family.
yes, big family. And one of the biggest areas that we like to talk about is in your division of 757 sports, 757 teams. And so we want to start out with, before we get to high school, let's talk about the state of Virginia and college football. This has been some year. Starting out, this is our first time having you on this season, but starting out, with ODU beating Virginia Tech that first weekend, ODU going undefeated for about 5 or 6 weeks, and then being actually nationally ranked at 25. Then we have all types of stories with Hampton University, fully in the CAA, and Richmond's having a good season, William & Mary. So let's get into state of Virginia college football. Larry, what jumps out to you?
I mean, you look at ODU. I mean, they beat Virginia Tech to say, hey, we're for real. Then they go down to Coastal Carolina.
I know.
They were one win away from getting into the top 25, same weekend that JMU was. And they went down there and at their homecoming and knocked them off. Played Georgia Southern really well last week. And it's like, you know what? Hey, Coach Ramey's got them people, they got them boys playing well and confident right now. I know they got Georgia State coming up, Marshall, James Madison, very tough games, as well as Appalachian State. But man, the Monarchs are trying to make some noise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And if you think about it, isn't this really the coach's, it's his third year, but only second season, right? Due to COVID.
Right.
I think, let me tell you, I growing up in Virginia, we've always, because they were the only FBS team, Virginia and Virginia Tech, we would just assume that the other programs weren't as strong. But let me tell you, with the transfer portal, COVID giving guys an extra year or two, and now JMU, ODU, Liberty, all in that FBS level. I mean, the state of Virginia is making some noise.
And I think it makes it exciting as well. Like you said before, it was just always Virginia Tech. Now it's like, okay, yeah, we think about y'all, but look, we got some other teams playing well too.
Yeah.
We're gonna take some of the limelight. So I love that. I love it. I love that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet the governor is at that game in Norfolk. That's going to be a big one for the state of Virginia. So, yeah. So,
yeah, and all those elite Virginia Tech alumni, like somebody I know, and Virginia UVA grads, it's no guarantee it'll ever get back to you being the powerhouses of the state. You're in a Power 5 conference, but I've said for a couple of, actually, I started last year, the Sun Belt, if you take out Clemson, I think the Sun Belt can compete with the ACC, which has dropped off to me, and a lot, it's being referred to as a Power 5, but I'll tell you, that Sun Belt has some quality football teams, and they are playing well. So
don't forget Liberty.
Yeah.
Liberty's got Arkansas next week and Virginia Tech, so two of their their last 4 games. But Liberty's very good, and JMU stumbled, but I know their fans all they're talking about is build that stadium out. So I think JMU is going to go. What's y'all's thoughts on Tech and UVA, Larry? You have to cover those.
The one thing I see is, I remember 5-10 years ago, everybody went to Virginia Tech. They're not going there anymore. They're going to these other schools now. And I think that's really the big thing that's happening right now. Those guys it's not guaranteed that before our top 5 to 10 players were definitely going to go to Virginia Tech, not anymore. And I think that's really opened it up. These kids are not only going to some other schools like JMU and some other schools around the state, but, and they're going out of the state now. So I think that right now, Virginia Tech used to have a stranglehold on the area, and it's not that case anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a big recruiting weekend at Miami last week, and they were off. Brent Pry was at Darling Stadium on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
They've got NC State, Georgia Tech at home, at Duke, at Liberty, and then Virginia to close it out. And then Virginia, for our Wahoo fans, has Miami at Virginia, Carolina at Virginia, Pitt, Coastal, and Virginia. Man, UVA could go 0-5. That's good Tech. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Well, we talked about, we briefly that JMU was ranked in the top 25, but Liberty only has one loss, and it was to number 19 at the time, Wake Forest, number 19 Wake Forest, and they only lost by 1 point. I'm thinking when the rankings come out this week, today or tomorrow, that Liberty should, I would think, jump into that top 25. They just beat BYU, who had been ranked most of the year,
Well, kind of a odd year. While we're on that, though, what do you think the rebuild process will be, Larry? With Tony Elliott in Charlottesville and Brent Pry in Blacksburg. I mean, you are deep in the schools. What do you think? I'm thinking 2 more years outside of this one.
The main thing is the recruiting wise. I mean, they, like I said before, they were entrenched. It was like if you're a star player from Virginia, you went to Virginia Tech, and then some of them were going to Virginia. But I mean, I know just from our area, from 757, we don't have many players at all at Virginia, and even with Virginia Tech, the top players just aren't going. So it makes you wonder, what are they going to do recruiting wise to make themselves look appealing to the kids in this area? I mean, most times I talk to these kids who are in the top 5 rankings. They don't even every time say, hey, what's your top 5 schools? Virginia Tech was always there. Now it's not even there anymore. And Virginia, that's even further down. We just don't have a whole lot of kids that go to Virginia now.
Yeah. I mean, Oh, well, I was going to say that, Virginia can't really lock down the state with these other programs coming up. And, Penn State has always kind of done well in parts of Virginia. They especially Northern Virginia, that whole DMV area. But UNC knows how to come in and pick out some of the good ones.
Duke is a new one. Duke is now
yeah, that's right.
That's Zon Burden.
That's right, Zon Burden. I mean, he's already gotten like 3 of our top 10 players. And Pittsburgh as well. Pittsburgh is still getting a lot of our players going up there as well. And so, these kids are realizing, we had some at Clemson as well. So these other schools, they're going to do something to really get these kids to want to stay. But it's not looking good. That's for sure.
I know if I was a kid and I'm living in if I can look, the other program is University of Maryland. Like they're in the Big Ten.
Right.
Years ago, we thought, and I know my wife who went to Maryland was a track athlete there, and she's very proud of them being in the ACC. But if things are headed the way they're going, and if it's just basically the Big Ten and the SEC, Maryland was ahead of the curve. if a Clemson jumps out of the ACC to go to the Big Ten, the ACC, it's a wrap.
Yeah. No, I agree. What are you going to do? Who else is going to, I mean, North Carolina's there and pushing, and I know one thing. Dre Blige is hitting this area hard as well. He's getting a lot of our top players, but
they're hitting the whole state.
Yeah, but if Clemson,
yeah, it's something. So look, we kind of know about that, but you guys, the other program I wanted to identify is Virginia Union. Virginia Union is undefeated. They're in first place in the CIAA North. But they're also nationally ranked in the top. They should be, I think, top 10 after this week. And they've beat some really good teams along the way. So I want to give a shout out to Virginia Union. But before we wrap up our segment on college football, do you guys, and I know we didn't prepare for this, but non-division wide, does not matter about division. It could be 1, 2, 3, FBS, FCS. What would be your personal top 5 college football teams in the state of Virginia right now?
Larry,
I would say for me, I mean, I have to go with JMU number 1. They've been playing well. I would probably 2. I mean, I'm not even looking at.
I'll give you. So
go ahead.
Liberty again. Liberty is 7-1. They beat BYU and play close. I think. And Liberty has beaten ODU. So I'm just going to – let me do it this way, then. I'm going to throw some teams out, and you guys kind of give you a second to reshuffle and think about it. So, again, we have Liberty that's playing great football, JMU, William and Mary, the University of – and you know what? Maybe we need to do a top 10 because it's really more than just 5 teams that are playing some great football. Virginia State with the new coach they're playing very well. They lost to Bowie for homecoming. I think I think they've lost 2 games, but Virginia State's playing well. Virginia Union clearly is playing outstanding. And we ODU has had a tough schedule. Outside of
Hampton was playing well until they lost. They got to face some of
that's right.
So Hampton has been playing well, too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So in a general sense, I'm going to say, without really having to put them in major order, I would say the top teams are, to me, I would say Virginia Union number 1. They're undefeated. Okay, I got to get some HBCU.
Come on, man. All
right. You know what? If they are undefeated and they beat Valdosta, a team that made it to the Final Four in Division II football last year, and I'm going to give Virginia Union as the number 1 team in the state of Virginia. I'm going to go with Liberty. They've got 1 loss, and they played a relatively decent schedule, and they beat ODU head-to-head. Then I'm going to go JMU. Next, I'll say William and Mary.
Okay.
And then I believe, what was my other choice after that? I'm going to save that. Go ahead. I got one thing. You guys, if you guys want to give your top 3, 4, 5, there was one more I wanted to research.
Okay.
One more.
I have to go with JMU only because not only have they been good, they were in the top 25 this year. And yes, they've lost. They're top 25 this year, and then they've consistently been one of the top teams even before they made the jump. I mean, they were the first. I think they were the first team to go FBS to make it into the top 25, and that program is just rolling. It's rolling. And then secondly, I'll throw Liberty in, and then third, I like William and Mary. I mean, what Coach London has done up there. I mean, who knew he's going to do this big of a turnaround in this late of his career, still getting those guys going, and I think that's good. And I love what ODU is doing. I mean, they're playing these teams tough again. They just lost barely yesterday, and then going down and beating Coastal Carolina at Coastal Carolina.
Man,
that's impressive.
That's big. That is big.
If and the fact that you had the whole COVID thing, and so he's finally getting his players. He's finally getting a real season. This is second season now. I like how he's taking that team. I like how he's taking that program.
I do too. I agree. And I just wanted to confirm. I made sure because I thought they were. My number 5 team in the state of Virginia is Randolph-Macon, Division III. Randolph-Macon in Ashland. They are 7-0, and they beat Shenandoah yesterday. And I thought that was who they beat. And so they're playing, and they're not playing close games. They're
ODAT, right? Aren't they ODAT?
Yeah.
That's a good football conference, man.
Oh yeah, definitely a good football conference, and they've beat some quality teams. So I'm my number 5 team in the state of Virginia is Randolph-Macon College.
Okay. All right, I had the most time to think. So I'm gonna go Liberty number 1. Hugh Freeze, we want you on the Kirk and Bird show. I'm gonna go JMU. If we were doing votes, I put them number 2, but a close 3 is ODU. I like ODU running all over Coastal Carolina. Mm-hmm. And then William and Mary. I'm sorry, Virginia Tech. You're 5. Virginia Tech.
I ain't even got him. I don't even have him up there.
And by the way, if Virginia Tech beats Liberty, that probably is our signature win this year. BC, but Liberty is better than BC, and I would also say that this Liberty team could hang. You can't just say it's a transition year. These Liberty, ODU, and JMU teams could hang with Tech and UVA 3-4 years.
See, the problem I have with Kirk's rankings is, one, he's a Hokie fan, and he still lives by this thing they are Virginia Tech. They could beat Randolph-Macon. No, that's not a good team, Kirk. Why would you put Virginia Tech in your top 5? They're not. If you watch them play, they're not a good football team.
Larry, there's a dispensary in Manassas that looks like the Taj Mahal. He's been there, man. No way.
But Kirk, are you saying they are a good team? They're 2-5 and have not looked good. So you're literally just taking it. This team would beat this team. Is it the best team?
Oh, well, if that's the case,
That's what we think. If I say non-division, it's the same thing we do in high school football when we say it doesn't matter if they're class.
Well, Oscar Smith might line up, and Freedom Woodbridge might beat Virginia Tech. If that's the case.
Well, that's the case. That's what I'm talking about. We don't say Highland Springs that isn't one of the best teams in the state because they're class 5.
That's true. Good point. So, all right, we said we were going to go 10. We went 15 minutes. All right, everybody. We're right at about 15 and a half minutes. We're going to transition to Virginia High School League. VHS. Now, Larry covers high school down in mainly the South Side, right? Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake. But we're going to be heavy on the 757. So let's start with the big dog down there, Oscar Smith. You've seen him play twice, and you saw him play recently. What's your thoughts on Oscar Smith and how they're headed into the playoffs?
This is a team that Coach Chris Scott has really had to coach. They don't have like a Ethan Vasco at a quarterback. They don't have like I forgot the running back that they had last year, Kevon King. Right. So they don't have like those 5-star receivers. But what they do have is a very good nucleus, a good unit. Yeah. And each game I see them getting better. And that's the key. Each week you're trying to get better. Right now, it's been close. A lot of guys have been talking as we do those polls. Phoebus is right there. And so my big thing is I have never dropped Oscar Smith because, you're the top dog until somebody knocks you off.
Right.
But that game in 2 weeks is going to be something I can't wait to see because I know Phoebus wants to – they got their behinds kicked last year. They got whooped. And so I think this year they got that. They haven't forgotten that. And they always see Oscar Smith being the team to beat. I think they're ready to say, you know what? Hey, we can play too. So I'm looking at those two teams. But another one you can't forget about as well, Green Run is playing remarkable.
They are balling.
They
are balling.
Their quarterback, he's putting up Madden-like numbers. It's ridiculous, And so you look at them, and then Maury, who has not been able to play as long. They've only played, I think, like 7 games because teams didn't want to play them, and then they had to go to North Carolina to get a game. They look strong as well. I don't think they look like the Maury team that won it a couple of years ago at the States, but I'm telling you, Diary. Coach McCain, he's got those guys ready. They are ready, and I'll be afraid of them as well. So, and then here's one more team, Western Branch. Western Branch has been talking about they want to be top dogs. This is their time this weekend. They host Oscar Smith on Friday night, which could determine the Southeastern District title. So we're going to see how good Western Branch is. They got a running back named Shamik Blizzard, he's run 200 yards the last 2 weeks in a row. He's on a roll, and they got Paul Billups, a very, very good wide receiver.
Yep.
They got a lot of good talent, but now it's like it's either put up or shut up. How good are you? This is your chance. This is your chance to be able to beat Oscar Smith. What you're going to do is So we're gonna see. That's how I look at it in terms of the South Side. Then you can't forget about Kempsville as well with their running back. He hasn't played the last 2 games. They've held him out. He had a little bit of an injury, but he's okay. They want to just get him ready for the playoffs. And Pierce, and I think he's gonna be. It's gonna be. I can't wait. Playoffs are gonna be exciting. Playoffs are gonna be really exciting.
Yeah, okay. Billups is headed down to North Carolina. Drake Bly, being a Western Branch alum, was going to
exactly. Yeah.
I think the Oscar Smith Branch game will be 10 points or less. So, and I think that Oscar Smith will pull it out.
Okay.
But if they beat them in the regular season, that doesn't mean they don't necessarily beat them in the playoffs because they need to get there in the same. They're in the same region,
right.
Obviously.
They're both in 6. So that's a good point. I think the key for Western Branch is they have to have a great. So Shamik Blizzard is going to get the ball. The key will be Trotman, their quarterback, being able to get the ball to C.J. Frazier, getting the ball to Billups, making good decisions, no bad decisions. Because I remember last year. Western Branch, we really thought they were going to give Oscar Smith a game, and I think they got blown out. I want to say the combined score was like 70-something to – it was bad. They beat them both times. Yeah. So that's going to be the key is I think the quarterback positioning for them as well as the line for Western Branch on offense. Can they slow down Oscar Smith's defensive line? So, but this is their chance. This is their year. If they're going to have a chance, this is the year to get them.
Yeah. Now, Larry, I know you guys haven't voted yet, but you have the top 15 from last week, 757. Yes. Is there anything up there that kind of sticks out that you would rearrange after this week for the for your what you see as the top? Yeah, let's say 5 or 10 teams.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Here's what we have right now. We have Oscar Smith. They've been number 1 from the preseason to now. Phoebus is number 2. Green Run number 3. Maury number 4. Kempsville number 5. Western Branch number 6, Kings Fork number 7, Lake Taylor number 8, Warwick number 9, and Cox at number 10. Lafayette's at number 11. I think the only one I would probably try to move Lafayette up. I mean, they've done well. I just don't. Sometimes I don't think the Bay Rivers district gets the respect that they deserve, that they want. So I think that's I would move them up into the top 10 somehow. And I mean, looking how Lake Taylor has played. I know they got beat pretty bad against Maury, but the way they're playing right now, they're rolling. And Kings Fork, they played well this year. They had that one. They were right in that game with Oscar Smith and a couple. I know that's how football is, though. But a couple things happened, and Oscar Smith just took advantage of those things, including 4 interceptions, and they turned the whole game around. But I mean, Kings Fork is a solid team. A lot of good speed. They got a good quarterback who runs it really, really, really well. Good running backs, wide receivers, strong defense. Kings Fork, I think, should be higher, but because they got beat so bad against Oscar Smith, I think that's why the voters, we have 7 voters. I think that's why, 6 voters. That's why they fell down, because they got beat so bad.
Yep.
Okay.
So they're the top seed. They're the top seed in 4. Sorry, Rusty. And Warwick.
Yes.
That's a dangerous team.
Yes.
So they're trending. That division, I tell you, 4, 5, and then everybody's excited, but 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Up to the state playoffs is very intriguing because, especially 5, that division that Green Run is in, has Kempsville, has all Virginia Beach and Chesapeake teams. So, but the thing is that.
And Maury.
Well, no, they don't have Maury. Maury's in a different region.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Right. Same class. Right. So, got it.
Same class. Yep. But that's the thing is they're matched up to play each other. So you could have Maury, and don't sleep on Kempsville. You could have a Maury Green Run. And then they're going to play the winner. They're going to have to play the winner of the other 5. I'm going blank here. Why am I going blank? Stonebridge is going to have to play Highland Springs if the seeds play out.
To get there.
Right.
I think that's
and Maury, it's Maury. It's all down there. So that's a great state semifinal. Is you're going to have Maury possibly playing, and we don't want to sleep on the other teams in Maury's district, but
it'll be Green Run or Kempsville. I actually have Kempsville that time of year. If the weather's bad, I think Kempsville is going to finally get over that Green Run hump, because the only losses the last 2 years have all 3 been to Green Run. Regular season last year, this year, and in the playoffs. And I'd like Kempsville to upset Green Run, then run through Maury, and they meet Highland Springs in the state championship.
And here's the thing. About Kempsville as well. I mean, they got a running back, Naquan Washington Pierce, who's run for almost 1,000 yards. He's missed the last 2 games. With him being out, they were just kind of watching him. They brought in 2 other running backs who have just kept it going. And so, like you said, it's going to start getting cold. You're not going to be able to throw the ball. You're going to be, you give it to a guy like Washington Pierce. He can just run the ball, run the clock off, keep your offense on the sidelines, and they could change the whole thing. We know that Green Run can strike at any time, but they can't do nothing if their offense is on the sideline. So, Kurt, Rusty, what you said about that? I mean, that's Rusty. That could happen. That could definitely happen.
And that's one of the reasons I think Oscar Smith will do well, is because their identity, although they can throw in, like in the end, their offensive line to me has been what's been key for Oscar Smith. So I remember last year in the state finals against Madison. To me, Madison was kind of playing with them, and they did the trick plays in this. But once Oscar Smith put in that unbelievably huge offensive line, like they stopped playing around and they just drove it down their throat. And so they can do a little bit of both. I understand they're rotating quarterbacks, but to me, I love running games. So I know everybody around here trying to throw the ball around. That's why I like Kempsville, but I like Oscar Smith can do both. But Oscar Smith, you can bear down and run the ball. Out will again. It's coming. You can't stop it. I always love that at that time of year.
Well, I know I looked at this past 2 games that I saw them. Cade Cox has been but he's been their main quarterback who's played for most of the game now. So I think they're getting for that.
Okay.
And he's mixed up the running game right now too. He's got Isaac Huffman, who's run really well, and then he's got Jamari Knox, who's been running really, really well. And then they also bring in Isaiah Akers, who came in late, who's got some good speed. So they're trying to, give you a little bit of here and there. They still don't have that back like Kevon King back here.
Yeah.
And that boy, he was tough. And so we'll see, hey, Chris Scott, he's always ready. We'll see what he's got. If he's got somebody he's just kind of waiting to use, and it's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be fun to watch.
So let me ask you this, because Kirk talked about there being, Division 6, 5, 4, and then we also have 3 very prominent in that area with Phoebus. Who would you think coming out of the areas? Who would you say right now would be your teams to represent as the top division, class 6, top class 5, top class 4, top class 3?
I like Maury because they've been there before, but I want to see what Green Run can do. They've been so close. Their offense is just crazy explosive, but you just wonder what they're going to do on their next level. It's like you said, it's going to be cold pretty soon. You don't throw the ball like that, so you wonder how they're going to do. And then you can never forget about Oscar Smith. I mean, I forgot how many state championships they've been to. Win or lose, they've been to the last. I mean, and that says a lot. You go out there with an Oscar Smith jersey on, Tigers on there or whatever. Mentally, the other team is like, oh man, that's Oscar Smith. We don't care who they got or don't have, but it's Oscar Smith.
Reload.
That happens with Freedom a lot of times. As soon as they step on the field against Freedom up here in Woodbridge, they're like, we already lost. What about Division 4? Is Kings Fork probably the strongest?
Real quick, Larry.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on. I just wanted to give a shout out to Salem and Virginia Beach and Cox. They're going to be They're going to have home playoff games.
Right.
And I like what you're saying. If anybody's going to beat Green Run, it's going to be Kempsville. However, we don't want to forget about those teams. And Kings Fork looks to be the class in 4.
Yeah, we do.
But we were just talking. Why don't you talk about Kings Fork, and then we'll bring up another team.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Kings Fork is that they got their coach. He used to be a coach. He used to coach at Oscar Smith. And we're talking about Coach Joffrion. He coached and he played for Chris Scott at Ocean Lakes.
Right.
So he's got that mentality already of, I'm not going to lose. I don't care. We're going to win. And you could see the momentum. I mean, Oscar Smith ran back the kickoff, then ran back a punt, was up 14-0, and Kings Fork came right back and ended up taking the lead. And I was like, whoa, this could be something. So, and the thing about it is Kings Fork, they also have a quarterback who's been there, done that in Cameron Butler, he's thrown for over 1,000 yards, has probably rushed for over 400 yards, who's really, really good. And they got a running back that you're going to hear more about. He's only a sophomore, Javon Ford. He's run for probably over close to 900 yards. So they got these guys, again, if it gets cold, they can run. And the thing that I love about Kings Fork quarterback Butler is he sells the run really well. He looks like he's a handoff and then he takes off. And that's how he really punished Oscar Smith several times with some big runs because they didn't know who's going to get the ball. So, and their defense, they got a very, very good defense as well. Tough nose. I mean, I like Kings Fork. We'll see. Like I said, they got Antoine Gray, who, is a big lineman who does his thing, but it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. I can't wait. This don't count on Lake Taylor as well.
What class is Wark? That was what I was getting at.
Same region. It's Wark.
Wark is 4. Okay, wow.
Phoebus struggled with Wark, and Wark beat Woodside. Woodside's a good program, and that's another one. Don't sleep on Woodside in 5. But I think that, I was thinking the state championships are going to be somewhat anticlimactic, and I'm not going to that. But if you look at some of the games, like Kings Fork and Oscar Smith, Kings Fork versus the Varina Dinwiddie is unbelievable. Oscar Smith is going to come to Freedom if the seats hold. That's going to be an incredible game. And then you've got the Highland Springs is going to probably take on Maury or Green Run, Kipsville. So the state championships, Oscar Smith, let's say Oscar Smith, Freedom Woodbridge against a Nova team, which I think the winner of that one will roll. Well, Freedom Woodbridge is a Nova team. And then 5, you got Highland Springs. I like Highland Springs. Stonebridge, Highland Springs, Maury. I'm going to go Green Run.
Okay.
Yeah, and then down in 4, Kings Fork, you've got Varina and Dinwiddie in 4.
Yeah.
That's the one I like to win, by the way. So you got
but there's some
here.
some of those Fredericksburg teams, King George, Eastern View, those are some really good Riverbend. Riverbend's not 4 though.
Are they 5? Excuse me.
They're 5. Yeah.
Yeah, Mountain View.
So this is the time of year. That's why we had to get the man on, Larry Rubama, because he knows this stuff. He's been around. He's talked to the coaches. Like, this is an exciting time of year. And what we got 2 weeks left in the regular season. I know Freedom only plays one more game. Freedom front loads their schedule. They take their bye for the playoffs. I guess they know they'll always be in the playoffs, and they get to heal up a little bit. But that concerns me in terms of the Phoebus Oscar Smith game. I know those are 2 teams that are Warriors, and they probably can't turn it off. I just hope nobody gets hurt coming out of there for a game that really means nothing.
You know what? Hey, look, Rusty, that's a huge point, because not only does Oscar Smith got to go through Western Branch this week, then they have to play a Saturday afternoon game against Phoebus. And while that game means nothing, those guys, right? It's going to be number 1 versus number 2. If Oscar,
that's big.
That's Western Branch. So like you said, you hate to see an injury in that game, and it's the last regular season game. Doesn't mean anything except for bragging rights in the area. You hate to have an injury and mess up the rest of your season, the playoffs.
I think that game is going to mean more to the parents on social media than it will to the kids, man.
And Rusty, it'll be packed. The local news will be there. And both teams have younger players that are getting highly recruited. Right. And if Brent Pry and Tony Yella could get down there, which they
that's the game. That's the game to do it.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's the game to do it. That's the game. Right. But I still want to point out: don't sleep on Lake Taylor.
Okay.
He's got 2 good running backs that he's using. Their defense is strong. They were in that Maury game early. Even to halftime, and they had a play where they tried to throw it with less than 2 minutes to go. It was intercepted, and Maury went down and scored and took, I think it was a 2-touchdown lead in the halftime. And then Lake Taylor kind of fell apart in the second half. But since that loss, they've been putting up points. They went on the road, and have won some big games. So definitely don't count out Lake Taylor as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I would love to see, back in the day it was all just AAA, AA, single A, but I would love to see and the teams in the same district were all usually in the same level. Like now you're in the same district, but again, like the Peninsula District has 3, 4, and 5. And so I would love to see if one district or one city could get multiple state championships. So it would be wonderful if we could get like Woodside get 5, and I'm going Peninsula right now. Ward get 4, and Phoebus get 3. Like that would be great.
Don't forget Pocosin, man.
Pocosin can get 2.
And they've gotten really good, man.
Yeah.
They took Phoebus to triple overtime, and they've got good football players. They've sent some kids I believe Division 1. They sent a kid to Towson, a really good player. But yeah, they got steady coaching there, so that's good. But there you go. That could be your parlay right there. Pocosin, Phoebus, Maury, or Kempsville, or Green Run, and then Oscar Smith.
Yep.
I'm still with Oscar Smith to win 6.
Yep. Oh yeah. So let me ask you, and Larry, we'll get ready to wrap this up.
Yeah.
What do you think in terms of the quality of football we're seeing now? You've been covering football in the 7, and I know I'm wrapping up on probably a very long response, but you've been on the Peninsula for a number of years, and you've seen football, but so where do you see in terms of the quality of football that the 757 is producing compared to maybe the rest of the state?
I think this year we have some good teams, but I think when you look at these teams right now compared to 2, 3, 4 years ago, I think some of those teams were stronger. I look. A perfect example is Oscar Smith. Very good team, top ranked team, but Oscar Smith compared to even last year's team, compared to the season before. The two teams have lost in the state. I think that I won't say the talent level is down, but the teams aren't as strong as they were the last 4 or 5 years. When I look at I look at some of those tough Phoebus teams. Now this Phoebus team this year I think could do something, but I still look at the teams from the last 3 or 4 years. Those teams are very tough. And I had a great discussion. I was talking with Greg Boone. You remember him?
Okay.
Virginia Tech, right? We had a great discussion at the Kings Fort game, and we were talking about football now compared to football then. It's like it's a whole different world. He said, man, I can't imagine if I would have had, because he even said we didn't even have social media like they do now. So can you imagine what it would have been like? With that talk, but I just look at the talent. He talked about when it was just Oscar Smith, Lansdowne battling for that one spot to come out of the period, where now you got teams that have losing records that make the playoffs. So I think it's not the same as it was 5-10 years ago. I don't think.
I think one factor, Larry, is this. Because the 757 doesn't have big private schools, you've got kids going to St. Francis in Baltimore, IMG in Florida. There was a kid from Phoebus, Robbie Robinson, that ended up going to Arizona State.
DeMatha.
He came up to DeMatha. So Richmond has plenty of, you've got Trinity, Episcopal, all those schools. And then Northern Virginia, of course, has the Catholic League and those options. So that's playing a factor in the 757. But I think the rest of the state has caught up. And one of the points I was going to make, Rusty, is if you look at like the 25th ranked player in the state, the delta between the top 10 is not what it used to be. There are some great players. I mean, that kid from Caleb Woodson from Battlefield is like 20 to 25. He is a beast, man. And there's guys, Amari Campbell, Unity Reed, Jordan Bass is he's underranked, man. He is a stallion. But yeah, that's what I see, Rusty, is I just think the rest of the state has caught up. Lynchburg and Roanoke have always put out very good football players. And, the AA programs, the Martinsville, I show my age with AA, but, Martinsville, Gate City, a lot of great programs down there. But, and Danville, great football players from Danville. But real quick, Larry, we're going to close out, but hoops is coming up.
Yeah.
NBA started. You got basketball, college practicing. And I was just saying, I know Menchville has a lot coming back. Maury's always tough.
Maury's always Kings Fork once again. Kings Fork is going to be tough again. And I think we were talking about before, you can never count out Lansdowne just because Dwight Robinson is probably one of the best. He knows how to. He's the man. He's the legend around here. So, but I'm really looking excited. I'm looking to see what Menchville does. Yeah. That bad taste in their mouth last year of getting so close and not getting it done. Basketball is going to be fun. Basketball is going to be fun.
PD is strong in basketball, too.
Yes, yeah. Last year they had, I had 5 of their schools ranked in my top 15 through almost the whole year because they were just knocking each other off. And it gave me a chance to go see some of those games, Menchville, Woodside, Hampton. It was great just seeing them.
Bethel was good for a while.
Exactly.
Good this year.
So they some real good games, real good teams out there.
And then on the girls' side, Menchville girls won state.
Kings Fort as well.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So it's gonna, basketball is going. Basketball is going to definitely be another good time.
All right. And so, Larry, we appreciate. We're going to have to get you on more, especially as these playoffs come
anytime. You guys.
Yeah, man. All Oscar Smith fans. I'm sorry, Rusty. Oscar Smith fans. Jay Golson, our man, is taking everybody from Oscar Smith out to dinner. That's what we're doing. Come up here, be in Prince William County. There you go.
Hey, Larry, lastly, will you be covering this when the state finals? Will you be covering 5 and 6 again?
I hope so. I hope I will be. I will. Yeah, I will. That's what I hope. I would love to see how whoever comes out of that 5 with we talked about Green Run, Kempsville, and then of course Maury on the other side, and then of course Oscar Smith, and who knows, maybe it'll be Western Branch. We'll see.
Yeah. We got some good stuff coming up.
Regional final with, I'm telling you, the games before the season, Kempsville would play at Green Run. Man.
Oh.
Yeah. Some good work.
Good football.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, Larry. We really appreciate you joining the show, and everybody loves your information. I don't know if there is any gambling going on high school sports, but
there is.
But even if there's no gambling, there's plenty of trash talk on a lot of these sites out here. Hampton Roads high school football is one. So again, thank you. You guys, you've heard it from the expert, Larry Rubama. And thank you, Kirk, for your analysis of high school football, even though I'm the most right out of both of y'all.
Emory and Henry is my number 5 team.
Who's that?
Okay. Coach Newsom.
Okay.
He's having a great year.
Yes,
he's having a great year. They picked him to finish way lower. He's kicking butt in Division II.
First year in Division II.
Yep. First year. That's my guy.
There you go. That's what we're looking for, Kirk.
Boom.
There you go. All right.
All right.
This has been Larry Rubama with Kirk Hillier and Rusty Bird on the Kirk and Bird Show. Thanks for watching. We are out.